Vikas, sir, the learned Attorney General is also here. Sir, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, learned attorney is not on the screen. I mean.
He's right.
He's there, sir.
Right there. Right there, Mr.
I'm
Mehta.
a very shy person.
No, sir, you are not. I am unable to.
Sir, if you put in the gallery,
Yes, yes. Now he is on the screen.
Tony, good evening.
Sir, now we are on live YouTube channel. You can start. Arvind.
we are waiting for Chief Justice.
Where is the chief?
Yes.
The chief has yet.
Sir, he is the Honorable Chief Justice of India has joined. Sir, good evening.
Evening.
My work is over. Now you can.
So may I have the permission to start?
Sir, good evening.
Not bad. Right.
I'll start next.
I'll mute everyone.
Yes.
Ardendu, you can unmute yourself.
Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Shri Sharad Arvind Bobde, Chief Justice of India designate, Honorable Mr. Justice N.V. Ramana, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court and various High Courts, former Judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, Learned Attorney General for India, Shri K.K. Venugopal, Learned Solicitor General of India, Shri Tushar Mehta, all the Learned Additional Solicitor General, our President Shri Vikas Singh, Vice President Shri Pradeep Rai, Shri Shivaji M. Jadhav, President Spora, Shri Manoj Mishra, Vice President Spora, Dr. Joseph Aristotle, Secretary of Spora, other office bearers of SCB and Spora, senior advocates, Learned Secretary General and the officials of the registry, and my fellow colleagues at the bar. Today we have assembled virtually to bid farewell to Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Shri Sharad Arvind Bobde. I, on behalf of Supreme Court Bar Association, welcome you all to this occasion. We must credit Honorable the Chief Justice of India and the Honorable Judges. This court has not closed for a single day on account of the pandemic and has functioned since March 2020. I take this opportunity to convey our best regards to Honorable the Chief Justice of India for assuring that justice dispensation did not stop and the court evolved a process of virtual hearings to continue proceedings throughout the pandemic. I now request Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President and Senior Advocate of SCBA, to kindly give his welcome. Mr. Pradeep Rai, Senior Advocate.
Honorable Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde, Honorable Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice N.V. Ramana, CJI Designate, Honorable Justice R.F. Nariman, Honorable Justice Indira Banerjee, Honorable Justice Hemant Gupta, Honorable Justice Ajay Rastogi, Honorable Justice V.R. Gawai, and Honorable Justice Shurikant, and other Honorable Judges, Supreme Court of India. Mr. Vikas Singh, our President, Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. K.K. Venugopal, Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General of India, Mr. Raman Lekhi, Solicitor General of India, and Mr. P.H. Parekh, 6-time President of Supreme Court Bar, Mr. Adendu Mauli Prasad, our Secretary, and office bearers of Spora, Mr. Jadhav, Aristotle, and Manoj Mishra. Our colleagues, we are connected here virtually, and we are witnessing this memorable occasion. On behalf of members of the Supreme Court Bar and Executive Committee, I welcome each one of you. We will miss Honorable Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde, who had been the Chief Justice of India in the most difficult time of his court. Despite difficult time of this COVID, he worked relentlessly for the justice delivery. Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde is son of senior advocate Arvind Srinivas Bobde, who was former Advocate General. Justice Bobde was born on April 24, 1956. He pursued his early education from St. Francis Xavier High School, Nagpur. After completing his graduation in arts from Francis de Sales College, he studied law from Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar College. He got enrolled in Maharashtra Bar Council on 13 September 1978. He was designated as senior advocate on March 29, 2000. He was elevated to the bench of Bombay High Court on 16th October 2012. Later, he was appointed Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court. On 12th April 2013, he was appointed as a Judge, Supreme Court of India. On 18th November 19 at 9:30 a.m., Justice Bobde was sworn in as Chief Justice of India. He is a sports enthusiast and nature-loving person. He likes to play with his pets and he never misses a chance to play table tennis or cricket. He is a skilled player of table tennis who had represented Nagpur University. He had a deep love for literature. Rudyard Kipling is his favorite poet and he has always been a source of inspiration for him. If is the favorite poem of Justice S.A. Bobde written by Rudyard Kipling. This poem tells us how to deal with different situations in life. It conveys a lesson about how to win the life and after all, how to deal with difficult situations and be a good human being. I would like to recite second stanza from If. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear and hear the truth you have spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or was the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them with a worm-out tools. The expert in this was once a beginner. Justice Bobde always remained open to the challenging experience and learning new things. Just like the way he learned Sanskrit language at the age of 50. It is inspiring how he has hold grasp over language in such a short span of time. The personality of Justice Bobde can be defined by following sloka. Nishchitvaya prakramate nant sarvati karmana abandhekalo vashyatma savay pandit uchyate. Whose endeavors are preceded by a firm commitment, who does not take long rest before the task is accomplished, who does not waste time and who has control over his mind. He is an avid wildlife photographer and likes nature and forest. His love for nature is clearly evident from the way he showed interest in the cases related to forest department. And he did all the matters pro bono while he was practicing in Nagpur bench of Bombay High Court. He always believed in Jivesh Karuna Chapi Maitri Tesu Vidyatam. Means he always loved he has always loved for the human being. Justice Bobde, as Supreme Court judge, had total tenure of 2,406 days, and he served 520 days as Chief Justice of India. During his tenure, he heard several key cases and been part of various important and landmark judgments. He was one of the members of 5-judge Constitution bench that rendered a unanimous verdict on Ram Janambhoomi matter. He was part of judgment which dealt ban on sales of firecrackers on the occasion of Diwali by saying, in no religious textbook it is written that Diwali has to be celebrated by bursting crackers. Diwali is considered as a festival of lights, not noise. In the matter where it was held, right to privacy is an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty under Article 21, an entire part 3rd of the Constitution. Unfortunately, his tenure suffered with COVID-19, which banished many of his dreams and reforms and new initiatives. Bobde believes in Ellen Bloom's saying, the most important thing is not speaking one's mind, but finding a way to have one's own mind. In the difficult times, many of our members are suffering with the hardship, which was never imagined by us. I pray and request each and everyone to remain safe and take all the precautions. At last, I wish a glorious and healthy life with a very happy birthday in advance to Honorable Justice Bobde. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Sri K.K. Venugopal, Learned Attorney General for India, to kindly deliver his address. Sir.
Honorable Chief Justice of India, Justice Bobde, Chief Justice Designate, Justice Ramana, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, the President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Sri Vikas Singh, Office Bearers of the Bar Association, the Solicitor General, Sri Tushar Mehta, the President and Office Bearers of the Advocates on Record Association, and my good friends and colleagues at the bar. This morning or this afternoon, when there was a farewell by the judges, at that time I had said that it's always a very sad day when you get a Chief Justice and before we are able to spend enough time with the Honorable Chief Justice of India and his functioning, he then disappears and we get a new Chief Justice. Of course, therefore, I had been suggesting that the Chief Justice should be there at least for 3 to 4 years. And we had Chief Justice Chandrachud, father of the present judge, who was there for 7 years. Justice Bhagavati was there perhaps for 6 years or so. And I do not know as to why is it that the period has been cut down. And this is something which is today within the hands of the collegium. Because when they appoint a judge, they know whether he is going to be a Chief Justice of India or not. And nevertheless, that we find that they get only a year and a few months. And therefore, we lose very, very good Chief Justices, like Justice Bobde. Now, this was a very short tenure because unfortunately there was a COVID during that period. And the Chief Justices of India are frequently invited abroad by the different Chief Justices of High Courts of the United States, England, and the European countries, and so on. And they project India when they go and visit those countries as they say India, America, US forum, and so on. And unfortunately, because of the COVID, the Chief Justices have not been able to project India abroad by their presence with the team and then having an interchange of ideas with the Chief Justices of those countries. But I'm happy to say that Chief Justice Bobde rose to the occasion when the COVID hit us. And when the COVID hit us, because it is not something which one had come across. We are not trained. We had not had that experience. But then he rose to the occasion because he straight away declared that we will stop the physical hearings. And as it is, I find
It's not moving.
from day to day, one or other of the lawyers at the bar
Moving.
being hit by the COVID-19. And just now there is a report that one of our lawyers, who good friends of ours, he is now searching for a bed. 2 days back, some other advocate was wandering around in Noida from hospital to hospital. And this is the great tragedy which has overtaken not only the members of the bar, but the population of this country. And it is all that the Chief Justice could do during this period was to ensure the protection of the lawyers, notwithstanding the fact that it could affect their financial well-being. And he ensured that so far as the lawyers are concerned, they were kept safe to the best of his ability by stopping the physical hearings, providing for video conferencing, and that to a great extent has been going on very successfully. And I'm sure Chief Justice Ramana, when he takes over, would ensure that we would get rid of this present video, which has been giving a lot of glitches, a lot of problems, and we'll be able to get a very, very efficient video conferencing system. Chief Justice Bobde has been responsible for very, very many judgments of great moment. But mostly it showed that he is a man with a very, very large heart. The moment it started, he first thought of the prisoners who were all bunched together in jails. And he said that so far as they are concerned, we cannot allow them to overcrowd the jails. And therefore, release them on probation to the extent that they are not guilty of very serious crimes. And a very large number of them have been released from each one of the jails in this country to the, as otherwise there would have been much greater fatalities than what we are having today. Then he ensured that so far as the midday meals which had been stopped because the schools are not functioning, they were restored. And that is something which I think was something which came from the heart. Then the proper treatment of the COVID patients so that even after death, the manner in which they were being handled. He said these dead bodies will have to be treated with great respect. And all these were tough issues which came because of this COVID. But in the last few days, he delivered, I think, 2 of the judgments, which I think will have a lot of effect on the future of the justice delivery system. Article 224 capital A was a dead letter because nobody had ever used it. But so far as acting judges were concerned, they could be appointed even after retirement, so that the vacancies which existed could be, the cases could be disposed of swiftly without the huge arrears which are now pending. And after a lot of discussion and rumination, he directed under certain circumstances where more than 20% vacancies existed. So far as acting judges are concerned, they should be appointed. This will make a dent in the huge arrears which are pending. Thereafter came the second, I think, seminal judgment in regard to the 40% vacancies existing in the high courts. And for the first time, he took charge of it. He wrote out what would be the memorandum of procedure so far as vacancies are concerned, and he fixed time limits within which the high courts have to make recommendations. The moment a vacancy arises, the time within which the government has to send the IB report to the collegium proposals being received by the government, and the swiftness with which government should act. Today, I think, on account of his judgment, there would be a total change, perhaps, in the vacancies which are existing, and we would find that in future, because of Chief Justice Bobde's judgment, there will be a significant change in the arrears which are pending in this court. It is very sad, as I said, when a Chief Justice or any judge retires, but Chief Justice Bobde is young at heart, and as a person from whom we would be hearing from time to time, and he would keep in touch with us, and I hope that he has a great and future, because when at the age of 65, I think it should really be 75. A person retires at 65. You can't waste the remaining years. We wish you Godspeed and all the best in the future.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Mr. Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate and President SCBA, to kindly deliver his address.
Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Shri Sharad Arvind Bobde, Honorable the Chief Justice of India Designate Justice Ramanna, Honorable Judges of this court, Learned Attorney General of India, Learned Solicitor General of India, law officers of this court, members of the family of Justice Bobde, members of the Executive Committee of SCBA, members of SCORA, members of the bar, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have assembled here to bid farewell to Justice Bobde. It's become necessary to do this by the virtual mode because of the sudden increase in the COVID cases in this city and the imposition of curfew. Otherwise, we had every intention to have this farewell as a physical function. Justice Bobde hails from an illustrious family of lawyers running into generations. His great-grandfather, Shri Ramchandra Pant Bobde, was a noted lawyer in Chandrapur, Maharashtra, between 1880 and 1900. The family later moved to Nagpur. His grandfather, Shri Srinivas Ramchandra Bobde, was also a lawyer. Justice Bobde's father, Shri Arvind Srinivas Bobde, was Advocate General of Maharashtra in 1980 and again in 1985. Justice Bobde's elder brother, late Shri Vinod Arvind Bobde, was a very popular senior advocate of this court who had an untimely demise in the year 2016. He was a very spoken and very, very affectionate lawyer to all of us, and we all shared very good personal rapport with him. Justice Bobde's daughter Rukmini and her husband Shashank practice in this court. Incidentally, Shashank is from Bihar and his family is very well known to my family. Justice Bobde is an alumni of St. Francis de Sales Schools, Nagpur. He completed his graduation from St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur, and studied law at Ambedkar Law College, Nagpur University. Justice Bobde joined the legal profession in 1978 and practiced at Nagpur bench of the Bombay High Court with appearances before the principal seat at Bombay and also before the Supreme Court of India, and was designated senior advocate in the year 1998. Justice Bobde was appointed as an additional judge of the Bombay High Court on 29th March 2000 and subsequently promoted as Chief Justice of the Madhya Pradesh High Court on 16th October 2012 before being elevated as a judge of the Supreme Court of India on 12th April 2013. Justice Bobde was appointed as the 47th Chief Justice of India on the 18th of November 2019. Justice Bobde has an affable attitude towards the bar, especially to its young members. Justice Bobde believes that the strength of any institution depends on its foundation, and undoubtedly the strength of this institution is the bar. Justice Bobde felt that the relationship between the bar and the bench was special, and that the bar was the mother of the bench, and all were co-partners of an undivided family. The bar and bench are united with similar values and beliefs, and it is this unity which ensures ardent adherence to the rule of law. In our first meeting after being elected, Justice Bobde told our EC that he has huge respect for whoever is the president of the bar, as he fought the elections and lost. Probably, I think, in Nagpur, which we didn't ask. In the same meeting, we brought up the issue of having an SCBA welfare stamp affixation mandate on every wakalatnama filed in the Supreme Court. Our EC proposed that we will pass a resolution and the same would be accepted as binding on the registry, to which Justice Bobde principally agreed. Unfortunately, we could not present a proper proposal in spite of there being a resolution of the bar for this lawyer welfare fund stamp, because we wanted that before we come up with a proposal, we must have a very transparent and an independent trust which will handle such money, and we must have a secure stamp which will be affixed on every wakalatnama, so that there is no telgi kind of a scam ever in this court, and also that the money is properly spent. Because of this sudden rise in the COVID pandemic, we could not finalize both these things, and we hope and trust that very soon we'll be in a position to finalize both and make a formal proposal to Justice Ramanna. And I'm sure Justice Ramanna, being already well known to look after the problems of the bar, would definitely agree. Justice Bobde has some recent very notable judgments, which I think I must mention. To bring uniformity in investigation and trial proceedings in criminal cases across the country and to wrap up hearings in a time-bound manner, a bench headed by Justice Bobde directed that all high courts and governments to follow the rules approved by the Supreme Court earlier. As per the rules, a schedule should be fixed by the trial court to hold proceedings, preferably on a day-to-day basis. An application for bail in non-bailable cases must ordinarily be disposed of within 3 to 7 days from the date of first hearing. It is also said that state governments shall appoint advocates other than public prosecutors to advise the investigating officers during the probe. The bench directed all high courts to take expeditious steps to incorporate the rules within 6 months. It also directed state governments and center to make consequential amendments to their police and other manuals within 6 months. This, according to me, will change the way criminal justice system is being dealt with by this country. It's a complete game changer as far as this is concerned. Another bench headed by Justice Bobde addressed the issue of massive vacancies in court. Today, we have about more than 400 vacancies of high court judges in the country. The bench presided over by Justice Bobde prescribed a mandated timeline for the union government to fix the appointment of judges in the high court. While the existing MOP has not suggested a period within which the center must forward its recommendation to the Supreme Court Collegium, the bench set down 18 weeks to complete this process. Currently, of the 410 vacancies, 213 recommendations are in the process with the government of the Supreme Court Collegium, while recommendations have not come from the High Court Collegium for the 197 vacancies. In these proceedings, I had mentioned that SCBA lawyers should be considered for elevation to the High Court as a routine rather than as an exception. Justice Bobde presided over the bench, agreed in open court. How to implement was only remaining to be formalized. It is our very firm belief that actually high courts are having problems in getting good names. And if they consider the names of the lawyers practicing in the Supreme Court, the basket of having a good names will be much bigger. And accordingly, it will help the justice delivery system in getting better people to be elevated to the higher courts. Amongst the notable judgments delivered by Justice Bobde, of course, nobody can forget the Ayodhya dispute. Justice Bobde, as part of the Constitution bench in this historic decision, unanimously ordered the construction of a temple in the disputed site. In December 19, he headed a bench that put quietus to the Ayodhya verdict by dismissing 18 review petitions filed against various aspects of the judgment. While on the Ayodhya dispute, I must give out one secret between me and Justice Bobde. While he was in the initial stages of the hearing, he was very firm of the view that the Ayodhya dispute should be settled by mediation. And if you all will recall, it was his suggestion in open court that Mr. Panchu and the other three people were appointed to look after to look into a possible mediation. While that mediation process was on, and just see the commitment of Justice Bobde for the mediation, that he asked me, because he knew that I knew the family of Shah Rukh Khan, that whether Shah Rukh Khan would be interested in participating in this mediation if the mediation were to go forward. I discussed this matter with Shah Rukh Khan, and he was more than willing to be a part of this mediation, because he felt that the best way this country, Hindu Muslims, can live peacefully is that there should be complete complete religious harmony in this country. And he suggested, in fact, that there should be the foundation stone of the Hindu temple laid by some prominent Muslims, and vice versa, the foundation stone of the mosque be laid by some prominent Hindus. Unfortunately, the mediation did not go ahead. But the thought of Justice Bobde of trying to get this matter mediated is definitely salutary, because this is something which would have really shown how we can live peacefully together. In the Aadhaar judgment, the three-judge bench of this court, comprising of Justice Bobde, ratified an earlier order of this court, clarified that no Indian citizen should be denied any benefit and made to suffer without an Aadhaar card and be deprived of basic services and government subsidies. In anti-abortion, to the judgment of this court, comprising of Justice Bobde in 17, rejected a woman's plea seeking termination of her fetus based on the medical board's report that the 26-week-old fetus had a chance for survival. Environment, Justice Bobde, as a three-judge bench of this court, in relation to extreme air pollution in the NCT, suspended the sales of firecracker in the region. As far as extracurricular is concerned, Justice Bobde is a visionary, and he felt the need and preserve the rich heritage of the legal history of this India. He was keen to establish a national level museum for law and justice. And from the very first day of his office as Chief Justice of India, letters were sent to the museums, high courts, and archive all across the country. We hope the reorganization and construction of the National Museum of Law and Justice, as dreamt by Justice Bobde, will be done in the leadership of the new Chief Justice, Justice Ramanna. SCB is keen to be a part of the reorganization, as a representation of eminent jurists and eminent persons from the bar may also be included in the said museum. Justice Bobde is a nature lover and an avid wildlife photographer. He recently passed an order by which a cheetah was brought in from Africa, and this will add to the diversity of the wildlife that we have in this country. I remember in one of those hearings, there was a case going on of some tigers preservation, where he recalled that tiger Ustad, who was facing problems, and how Ustad was killed, etc. And he made the Solicitor General immediately told him that it was Ustad, and that is how that discussion was taken on a slightly lighter note, because of his love for the wildlife. Because of his love for forest life, Justice Bobde used to appear for the Forest Department pro bono while he was practicing in Nagpur. Justice Bobde, I realized, is a very good tennis player when I had the tennis tournament in my last tenure as president of the Supreme Court Bar. And when he was playing on the court, I realized that he must have played off a very good level of tennis. And later I found out that he had represented the Nagpur University in lawn tennis. And accordingly, I could see his fitness on the tennis court. In spite of being out of practice for more than 20 years, he was hitting the ball as if he was playing the game regularly. So Justice Bobde, sir, I really hope and trust that you will maintain your fitness and start this game of tennis, which you have lost for so many years. Because according to me, this is a passion which should not be given up. I'm sure because of the time constraints now, you would be having difficulty in playing the game. Justice Bobde learned Sanskrit at the age of 50 and is now steeped in Sanskrit literature. And that is why, if you'll recall, recently at the Ambedkar University, he recalled that Mr. Ambedkar had wanted a uniform Indian language for the whole of the country. And Sanskrit was suggested as one of the language. Unfortunately, it was not taken up. But probably if it had been taken up, we would not have to answer embarrassing questions when we go abroad as to why English is your mother language and why are you still keeping English? And some European countries have great difficulty in appreciating why a country as plural as India should have English as its mother language. Justice Bobde is also a motorcycle enthusiast. Like other judges are fond of badminton or golf, biking is a sport for the Chief Justice. And here I must let out the second secret. When I was traveling once with him on the aircraft, and I told him that I have a Harley Davidson, which I'm not able to ride, and it's because of the pollution in Delhi. He said, if you're selling it off, why don't you sell it off to me? I said, why not? If you will pay me the price, whatever market price I'll get, I have no difficulty in selling off to me. But I said, it's a little heavy. I don't think you'll be able to ride the bike. He said, no, I've been riding bikes from my childhood. So you send this bike to me. And it is unfortunately that bike which resulted in his fracture, although he said it was because of the stand, not because of the heaviness of the bike. And that didn't hold. So this is the second secret I thought I'll just share now that he's demitting office today. Justice Bobde is also fond of cricket and often spotted playing cricket on holidays. He's a dog lover and has two pets, namely Sasha and Badshah. He also has a fish pond where he spends time every day after he comes home from work. Justice Bobde is truly inspired by Rudyard Kipling's If, which reads as under. And I read this today and I was very, very inspired, and I thought I should read one paragraph. I must read the whole of it. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turns long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or work with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men can count on you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Amazing words. I thought I'll repeat these words here today. Before I conclude, I want to just make a small announcement to the members of the bar. This Sunday, we are having Dr. Neeraj Jain, the head of the Department of Pulmonology, Gangaram Hospital, to speak to all of you, because unfortunately, because of this pandemic, in spite of our entire EC working as a task force to try to get them beds, oxygen cylinders, etc., there is a huge shortage of beds. Dr. Jain will tell you what best you can do at your residence if you don't get a bed. And in fact, I'll beseech the honorable judges also if they would like to join, because it will be very instructive. He's the head of the Department of Pulmonology. He's the best man dealing in this subject today. And from 3 to 4 on Sunday, he will be speaking to our members. I wish again Justice Bobde a very healthy, long life and all the best in his next innings in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Chief Justice of India designate Honorable Mr. Justice N.V. Ramanan to kindly address this gathering. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Chief Justice Mr. Sharad Arvind Bobde, my esteemed brothers and sister judges of the Supreme Court, brother and sister judges of High Courts, Mr. K. Venugopal, Attorney General, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General, Mr. Vikas Singh, President of the Bar Association, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President, Mr. Prasad, Secretary, Shivaji M. Jadhav, President and other office bearers of the Supreme Court Advocate on Record Association, distinguished members of the legal fraternity, and friends from the media. At the outset, let me congratulate Sri Vikas Singh, President, and all the new elected office bearers of the Supreme Court Bar Association. I wish the new team a great success in all its endeavors. I also thank the Supreme Court Bar Association for organizing this farewell event and for providing me an opportunity to speak on this occasion. Today morning, I mentioned while I was speaking with the honorable judges that bidding farewell is a very difficult task. After 43 long years in the profession, Brother Bobde is retiring today from the highest position in the Indian judiciary. Over his long and illustrious career, he has served the profession in diverse capacity with distinction. He entered the bar with the great legacy of being the great grandson and son of legal human race. He demits office today, having carved his own name in the history of the Indian legal landscape. All the distinguished guests who are assembled here today are aware of his seminal contribution to our jurisprudence, which needs no reiteration. The attribute of Brother Bobde that impressed me the most in my nearly decade-long association with him are his wit, humor, and charm. He always created an environment that everyone can feel comfortable in: litigants, lawyers, and fellow judges. I think this is one of his strongest assets as a judge and an individual. Brother Bobde entered the highest office with the vision of transforming the justice delivery system with modern technology. Unfortunately, COVID proved to be a stumbling block. Yet, Brother Bobde did not lose hope. Justice Bobde adapted to the changing circumstances and ensured that justice dispensation has not hampered during these trying times by ensuring the adoption of e-court systems. He also set in motion initiatives such as the introduction of the artificial intelligence for the benefit of the judicial world. All these measures will have a long-term beneficial impact and will contribute to improving access to justice in the country. He has made immense contribution to furthering the goal of access to justice, both during his time as chairman of NALSA and more recently as its patron-in-chief. Brother Bobde's interest in judicial training is also well known. As the chairperson of the National Judicial Academy, he constantly strived to improve its infrastructure. Despite the pandemic, he made sure to visit the academy multiple times to personally scrutinize the infrastructure improvements being made. He firmly believed in enhancing the quality and responsiveness of the judiciary through judicial education. Brother Bobde's passion for sports, photography, literature, and the Sanskrit language explains why he is such a multifaceted individual. Knowing his diverse interests, I am sure he already has many projects lined up after his retirement. I wish him all the best in all his future endeavors. On my own behalf and on behalf of brother and sister judges, I wish him a very happy and healthy life ahead. At this juncture, I think it is necessary for me to say a few words about the current circumstances. We are going through testing times. The country as a whole is battling the severest COVID wave. Like the rest of the citizenry, the officers of the staff of the courts, lawyers, judges, all have been affected by this lethal virus. The virus does not make any distinction. During these unprecedented times, some strong measures may be necessary to break the cycle. I request everyone to cooperate in implementing these essential measures. At an individual level, the least we can do is help prevent the spread of virus. Please diligently follow the 3 W's, that is, wear a mask, watch your distance, wash your hands. Please do not step out unless it is real urgency. We can defeat this pandemic together with discipline, dedication, and cooperation with each other and the authorities. My heart goes out to everyone who has lost their loved ones to the virus. These are indeed difficult times, but we must not lose hope. Before I conclude, I would like to remind you of a quote from the author Michael Hobb, which aptly explains cyclical nature of human history. I quote, "Hard times create strong men create good times," unquote. We are undoubtedly living in hard times. However, I believe that these circumstances will compel us to emerge stronger than ever before. Let us be strong and overcome this together. With these words, I again wish Brother Bobde the best of health and happiness. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Your Lordship. Now I request Honorable Chief Justice of India, Sharad Arvind Bobde, to deliver his address. Over to you, Lordship.
My esteemed colleague, the Honorable Justice N.V. Ramana, the Chief Justice of India designate, my other esteemed colleagues who are online, Shri Vedugopal, Learned Attorney General for India, Shri Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, Shri Vikas Singh, President SCBA, Shri Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President SCBA, Shri Ardendra Mauli Kumar Prasad, Secretary SCBA, Shri Rahul Kaushik, Joint Secretary SCBA, other members of the executive body of the SCBA, Shri Shivaji Dadav, President SCORA, and other members of the executive body of the SCORA, members of the bar, ladies and gentlemen. Since morning, I have discovered a new cause for becoming speechless, and that is having a lot to say and having had contradictory experiences, not knowing what to say. But nonetheless, I discovered that there are some things which one can say, and I shall endeavor to say them. Firstly, I must thank you all for your words. The system, the atmosphere is such today that nice words about one's surprises one. It is very heartening to hear some of the good things which you mentioned today. When I came here and when I took oath as Chief Justice, I had not imagined the complexity of the tasks which a Chief Justice has to perform. The judicial side, the administrative side, the management of the courts, sometimes problems of the high courts, dealing with the requirements of the bar, it takes, and other things. It takes time to understand the complexities. But there is no way around them. You have to understand and do your best. The litigation here is of a dazzling variety. The arguments are probably the best because it's the last court. The bar is capable and the lawyers very competent. The standard very high. The COVID pandemic required us, primarily me, because I was Chief Justice, to learn new things about communications. And we decided that video conferencing was the way forward. I am glad that with the help of my colleagues, particularly the E-Committee and even more so the registry itself, we managed to tide over. We managed to face the challenge. And as I said earlier, I'm proud to say, having examined the records of the various Supreme Courts of the world, that our performance during the COVID pandemic was amongst the best. One indication is that the Supreme Court did not fail to sit a single day because of COVID. Not only that, the number of working days in this last year have been more than any time before in the history of the Supreme Court. The most unusual thing was sitting before a television screen and being looked upon by a camera and speaking through a mic like we are doing now. It was initially difficult to imagine this kind of a virtual hearing for a court proceeding. But we have all got used to it, and I think that at least in a certain class of cases, it is here to stay. I have flagged earlier one of the intractable problems about the virtual hearings, and that is the new kind of inequality which it has created. I don't wish to dwell much on it, except to say that the inequality that already existed has been augmented by the fact that video conferences have become technology dependent, and your access to justice depends on your access to the technology, which means a certain amount of your circumstances are such that you can acquire all the devices necessary. This is a warning which I would also like to issue for the adoption of artificial intelligence, which I'm sure is something which will grow in the future. We decided to adopt or move towards artificial intelligence because I think that it is futile to ignore it. I remember a time many years ago when computers were introduced and people started communicating with email. There were people who were wondering, why should one switch to email? But the truth of the matter is that when something like this is introduced, it catches on like wildfire, and there is no way of stopping it. Imagine the post office is closed down. Today you don't have post offices, and the government is wondering what to do with those buildings. I think artificial intelligence is in the same category. if we don't adopt it, we don't become familiar with it, we will find ourselves at a great disadvantage. It is with that spirit that artificial intelligence has been resorted to. And I must take this occasion to congratulate and thank my esteemed colleague Justice L. Nageshwar Rao for heading the committee so ably and bringing artificial intelligence to this stage. We have a very unique designation of being the guardians of the Constitution. And when I say we, it is both the bar and the bench. I say it because it is not just the duty of the bench to assume this role, but also of the bar. It is the bar's duty to assist the court to come to a right decision. Only a bar committed to the dynamic concept of the rule of law and conscious of its social responsibilities could really assist the judiciary in molding the law creatively and imaginatively, especially in the service of the marginalized and vulnerable sections of the society. I wish to say something on how this can work best. And I'm not saying it with any sense of grievance. But there is one area where we need to pay a lot of attention, and that is communication and the relationship of the bar and the bench. I do not wish to criticize anybody. I'm sure there are people at fault on both sides. But the attitude and the mutual respect that is necessary for an excellent functioning of the judicial system sometimes is wanting in the narrative, which narrative, of course, if I may use that phrase. I want to say this not because we should become a society of people who pay compliments to each other and overlook each other's faults. But I say it because on this communication and this relationship depends the fulfilling of the most important function of the judiciary, that is to protect the life, the liberty, and the property of citizens. Please understand, there's no need to become a mutual admiration society, but nonetheless, we must work in a way that is harmonious, which is nourishing, and which fulfills the purpose of the system. A small example, something which we were taught when we joined the bar, is it should be possible to accept that the judge doesn't agree with you. It does not reflect on either the skill of an advocate or his ability to persuade. It is possible, it's in the nature, it's in human nature that everybody does not agree with everything. And when that happens, it is important to gracefully accept a decision which is contrary to your submission. I do not mean to lecture this time, and I must say that I have had no such problems except the very occasional problem of an over-enthusiastic argument. Having served at Bombay, Madhya Pradesh, and now at Delhi, I would like to say with humility that the relationship between the bench and the bar is going to matter most to the future of the judiciary. There is something else which comes in the way sometimes, but that is a large subject which we will need to address later, and that is how the media and how the social media interprets our actions. It is said that a lawyer with a well-furnished mind alone can be a counselor at law. He alone can go beyond mere looking up precedents and guide his clients along the path of wisdom. If you remember what Walter Scott said, a lawyer without history or literature is a mechanic, a mere working mason. If he possesses some knowledge of these, he may venture to call himself an architect. In the hands of such a lawyer, the law truly becomes an instrument for securing justice. To the young members of the bar who are disheartened by the events of the pandemic, I want to say, don't lose hope. Carry on. Things will change. And it is true, as Vikas Singh pointed out, my heart always goes out to the young members of the bar. And I understand that it is they who need the greatest degree of encouragement. I do not wish to take up much of your time. When I was asked in the last couple of months, what is my day like? I used to say, my candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But are my foes and oh my friends, it gives such a lovely light. It won't happen tonight onwards. I will be free. I hope to go out of the Supreme Court. I'll be leaving with a lot of beautiful memories. But I do hope in addition that I will be able to keep in touch with you, and I will certainly take the occasion to meet you all whenever possible, and I invite you to do the same. Thank you for everything. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lordship. It has always been a pleasure to appear before you today as we draw a curtain on your almost 8 years in presence in this court, and in total 43 years at the bar and the bench. I can assure you on behalf of the younger members of the bar that you will continue to live in our hearts. We all agree to what your Lordship has rightly said in the ceremonial court today. You did your best. We will miss you, and on behalf of the entire bar, I wish your Lordship a very happy retirement. Now I will read the message given by Honorable the Chief Justice of India to the members of the bar. The strength of any institution depends on its foundation, and undoubtedly the strength of this institution is the bar. The relationship between bar and the bench is special, given that by all accounts, the bar is the mother of the bench. After all, majority of the judges commence their careers at the bar and then join the judiciary. There is a special bond between the bar and bench, that is the values and beliefs that unite the two. It is the bar working together with the bench which has time and again ensured ardent adherence to the rule of law and zealous protection of the basic and fundamental rights enjoyed by the citizens of this country. We are like the co-parcenaries of an undivided family. Anything detrimental to one of the co-parcenary naturally affects the other. I must place on record my appreciation for the tremendous work you all have done during my tenure here in the Supreme Court, and I'm sure will continue to do in the future. Well, thank you so much, Your Lordship, for the warm words. Now, a memento on behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association to Honorable the Chief Justice of India has been made and will be sent to His Lordship. I request our President, Mr. Vikas Singh Ji, to virtually present it to my Lord the Chief Justice of India. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Sri Rahul Kaushik, Joint Secretary, Supreme Court Bar Association, to present the vote of thanks. Mr. Rahul Kaushik.
On behalf of Supreme Court Bar Association, we are extremely grateful to Honorable Mr. Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde, Chief Justice of India, for accepting our invitation. And we wish sir a very happy retired life, sir. You have been Chief Justice during a very tough time, sir. Now it's time you will get some free time. You can use that time for your passions, be it a wildlife, be it tennis, be it sports, or be it your bike, sir. We are extremely grateful to Honorable Mr. Justice N.V. Ramanna, Honorable the Chief Justice of India designate, for being part of this function. We are extremely grateful to all the other honorable judges also for accepting our invitation. We wish to thank Mr. K.K. Venugopal, Learned Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, Senior Advocates, Office Bearers of SCORA, and all the other members of the Bar Association for being part of this function. We are extremely thankful to the registry officials also for their help in organizing this. We are also thankful to the members of the print media for covering our function. And lastly, it's been a very tough time for everyone, especially. So we just request everyone not to move out from their houses unless it's very important. We have been losing our members. Daily there are messages. So I just wish to inform all the members, please be safe. Unless it's very necessary, don't go out your houses till the time the situation normalizes. Yeah. Over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Manoj, with your permission, may we end the function? Yeah. Lordship.
May I close?
Thank you.
Manish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great, Manish.
Unfortunately, we'll have a virtual tea, so all of us can have tea.
Okay.
Sir, may I close?
Yes.